So Ireland's dead. Seems to have been coming for a long time, but I thought we'd go through it. Just I see on my timeline popping up more and more the migrant crisis, the sea people, yar, keep turning up to Ireland because they get bored of being in England. They're like, you're not as rich, so bye-bye. And
Ireland's doing very, very well. They need to share their wealth with the world.
it is the end of progressivism as well.
Yeah.
And if we go to the first link here, we'll have something I just want to promote quickly on lotuses.com, being the Debate Might As Well Be Dead podcast. This was I think it was Cambridge University Union, where they had tried to have a debate. Didn't go well.
I know.
Listen, it was a complete waste of time. But do go and check out Calvin Robinson there, because he was the only one talking sense and being enlightening, as usual. And we'll come back to union debates at the end of this, because it's the ideology that drives this. If we go forward, we'll just start off with just the troubles visualised for the foreign audience who don't know, I guess. I'm surprised by how many people don't know that the troubles are even a thing. But basically, Ireland in the south, Northern Ireland in the north, Northern Ireland, bit divided. Anyway, moving on. There you have it. We'll go to Sinn Fein in 2018, the Irish Republican Socialist, Ethno-Nationalist. They're a really weird
political
group.
wing of the terrorist organisation that was the IRA, yeah.
Yeah, but they're also just like the ideological unity they have is on so many weird levels. Like they're the socialists and also the Nazis at times when they need to talk about all people of the same race should be in the same country.
Yeah.
And also at the same time just being like, oh no, we're just Irish nationalists, bro.
I mean, this is. I grew up in a military family, so this is why we were constantly bombarded with walk different ways to get to your offices and school and whatever, just in case the IRA are going to blow something up.
Or kidnap you.
Yeah, or kidnap you or whatever.
But
the idea that the IRA have been like, yeah, so we've gone from being ethno-nationalist terrorists to actually being John Lennon's Imagine. We were fighting for trans rights, actually.
But that's the thing, they haven't got to John Lennon's Imagine. They've instead gone to intersectionals, screaming trans rights. And we see it here from the Sinn Fein Twitter account, which is Ireland is no longer simply orange and green, being Protestant and Catholic
Yeah.
Irish. Ireland is a rainbow of identities and cultures. What? A place where diversity...
That's literally not what they were fighting for.
What was the whole point of the war? You know what I'm fighting for, lads? It's like, no?
Palestinian refugees!
The English have oppressed them long enough. A place where diversity and difference can be embraced.
Yeah, oh,
Ireland
God.
is changing. Right, Sinn Fein in 2018.
Amazing. So it literally, all the British had to do is be intransigent for long enough. And then the Irish, it's like, look, we're just not going to change. We're just not going to change. It's not going to change. Oh, now Ireland's changing. Now it's the multicultural rainbow utopia. Sinn Fein, you lost. That's what losing looks like.
I just love the idea you have like the British loyalists and then the IRA sit down with all old men being like, oh, we used to fight together. What were you fighting for? I was fighting for George Floyd. You killed my son. For George
Refugees
Floyd.
welcome here.
No, funnily enough, this is the thing. Like, looking at the obvious propaganda of the people doing the warring, it was all about...
Oh, no, it wasn't anything about this.
It was all about Ireland for the Irish, or something along those lines, but with a socialist lens.
Yes.
Which was always a bit weird, but whatever. It was not this.
Well, it's the same as the SNP.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't the same as the SNP are now. And now, the SNP and the Irish, nationalists over here, have all gone intersectional.
The Celts have gone full woke, and it's cringe.
And this was 5 years ago that they made this tweet.
This was 5... Oh, my God.
Yeah, and promises made, promises kept, say the Sinn Fein. This was featured previously.
Oh, Jesus.
This is their leader in Northern Ireland, who decided to come out with her hijab.
Nice hijab.
Yeah.
You know, I hate Protestants. And Catholics, actually, as well.
All kuffar need to submit to the Islamic Republic of Sinn Fein. I'm really for the Green Society, but not the one you want.
God, yeah, it's exactly the same message 5 years later.
5 years later.
I'm working to build a society not of orange and green, but of rainbow colours. Oh, God.
And of multiculturalism, which reflects all who are here and what we stand for today. Today we stand for this.
Amazing.
Speaking of Eid al-Adha there, yeah.
Amazing subversion.
And the promise was indeed kept, because this is the thing. Well... You may have argued.
Callum, I think we can all agree that Ireland has been oppressing the Muslim world for too long. Far too long. The Irish imperial project that was to hold down the innocent Muslim.
See, I thought Irish history was mostly about them being oppressed by those damn English.
Well, that's... That's what the IRA thought.
Yeah.
But turns out they were wrong.
No, it turns out Ireland needs to make amends for what it's done to the world. So, with its imperial empire spanning 3 continents
Yeah.
of the island,
Finally, we get to address the Irish question.
if we go forward,
Sinn Fein leading the charge.
Ireland 2023, and it's a bunch of people shouting, hey, hey, ho, ho, racism has got to go, with signs that say refugees welcome, shirts that say refugees welcome, and I'm sure, yeah, they're loving what's happening to them.
Are you suggesting that maybe millions of Irish refugees can return from America finally?
Oh, no, they don't want those.
No, they're white.
Yeah,
They can go away.
Well, they're Irish, but they don't want them back. Instead, they want people from anywhere else on the planet, mostly the Middle East, if you can pick, which is a strange decision. And these are the left-wing Irish who seem to run the place. And if we go forward, you go to the right-wing Irish, or normal people, who are kind of pissed that they're now having busloads of fighting-age men turning up en masse.
Come out, you black and tans, and protest these bloody socialists with us.
Yeah, because...
which I would actually support.
As mentioned previously, like loads of...
Return to tradition.
Sea people have turned up in England and gone, bugger this, and they've buggered off to Ireland. Or they've taken flights directly to Ireland, because, they're poor refugees.
Yeah. Get them a dinghy.
And claiming refuge from France.
I tell you what, though, I caught a ferry from Liverpool to Belfast one time, or Northern Ireland somewhere, and it took 8 hours. So that's a hell of a dinghy ride.
I don't think they're going on the dinghies. I think they're all taking planes, and we'll evidence this. But if you can see here, these people in Dublin marching, saying, no, bugger off, don't want to deal with this crap.
Oh, yeah.
Because
typical racist Irish nationalist.
Yeah, the other thing here is there's a massive housing crisis in Ireland, as there is here.
Oh, no kidding.
Which is the point that houses have gone up a ridiculous amount. No one young can buy a house, and at the same time, the Irish government is handing out houses left, right, and centre to any foreigner who turns up.
So a few years ago, I did a video talking about Ireland's new immigration. And I was like, look, it's not so bad. You're only getting 50,000 people a year. And the Irish were like, yeah, but we've only got like 6 million people here. So, if you skip... And I didn't even think about it. I was quite ignorant, really. And so I had a lot of Irish people going, think about the scale now. I was like, oh, wait, so you're basically getting the same as 500,000 a year, just like us.
And then there was that advertisement, I think it was from the Irish government, talking about, what was it, Ireland 2050 or something? Where they were showing off like the...
billion people in Ireland.
Yeah, it was like 10 million or something they were projecting. It was... There's only one way to do that, it turns out, which is to import the rest of the world, and that's what they're doing. Because if you go to this one as well, you may remember this... You remember this? These pure Ukrainian refugees?
Oh, yes. Average Ukrainian man.
Yeah, Philip over here specialises in asking people where they're from. And
like an obvious Nazi.
And he went to these chaps and asked, where are you from? And they all said Ukraine.
It's just so convincing.
Their Kashmir accents gave it away.
Uh-huh.
And then they mentioned the fact that, wait, hang on, isn't everyone under like 50 in Ukraine meant to have stayed and fought in the war?
Yeah, how did you get out?
And he was like, oh no, we're all 65.
What?
Like,
I mean, maybe the guy at the back.
Yeah, but then he turns to like someone just off camera here, who's obviously 20, and he's like, 60? Like, okay. Right.
This is the exact inverse of the 35-year-old guy with the receding hairline going, hello, I'm 15.
And this is the situation, as you say, like the numbers might not sound amazing, but then you realise the population size, and then the numbers are much more impactful.
Yes.
And also far more impactful when you ship them off to tiny villages.
Oh, wow.
Because why would you do that? As we have here, 200 male illegal immigrants being housed in a small Irish fishing town. There we are, just under the cover of darkness, just move them in with all their suitcases. Which
they need some Martha's Vineyard nationalism.
They certainly do. Instead, their solution to the Martha's Vineyard question is to just move them all to Northern Ireland. Because as he notes, the town they moved them to is very close to Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
And, I was there recently, and can confirm, if you're the next one here, that most of the place is obviously filled with people who are not been there for long. You can see a lot of hotels that are booked. A lot of places I tried to book, just weren't able to. I was like, that's interesting. And
I noticed that these are not talking about Irish issues anymore.
No, this was the peace wall I went down to, because I was half expecting Ireland to exist. And so I went looking for it, and I ran to the peace wall, which is like the last bit of the old wall separating the two communities.
Sorry, can we go back to that previous one?
Yeah.
That's an interesting picture, like the 1917, 1946, 1947 now. It's like, yeah, that's interesting how demographics change.
Yeah, we're looking at a map of Palestine and how the Palestinians are being switcherooed across time, and that is allowed to be spoken about in Ireland, about the plight of the Palestinians.
Can't talk about the demographics of Luton, though, can we?
No, or Ireland, apparently. And if you go through these, I mean, this is the other part that just had me just confused, because even, like, this is the Catholic Irish side, right?
Right.
And all of the issues are about, as you see here, Palestine or Kurdistan, which...
Obviously.
Yeah. I didn't get it. I didn't understand. I asked a bunch of people just why in the comments. And the answer is
typical Irish language on the wall there, that's good.
Indeed. And the response I got was that apparently the Irish identity had always been about fighting the oppressive English. And now that was sort of gone, and the Good Friday Agreement happened, and no one really gives a crap about that. The Irish identity as a thing is, these are these guys' words, kind of now completely hollow. There's nothing there, because there's nothing to be oppressed by, and they're twice as rich as the English. So now what? So this is apparently where the mindset comes in. Okay, well, we can be as Sweden said, a humanitarian superpower in which we can help the world's oppressed.
Brilliant.
Which manifests in this random alliance, and then
Peak
also
Irish identity right here, lads.
the importation of the entire world, as if that helps anyone. It doesn't. And if we go forward, we can see in Belfast alone, 15% of all hotels in Belfast, when this article was published, like 3 months ago, were completely booked. That was the ones they could confirm.
Right.
It's probably way more. I can tell you it's way more.
Oh, right, okay.
This definitely is.
Oh.
Like, we were driving around with taxi drivers, and the taxi drivers were all Irish still, because it's very, very recent. And they all kept pointing to hotels going, that's full of migrants, that's full of migrants. I'm like, yeah, strange.
Did you go for a visit and they're like, oh, an Englishman. Oh, brilliant. Do you want to oppress me?
You know what's also kind of sad? Like, they've got all these murals up, and they used to have guys with AKs and machine guns.
Yeah.
And whatnot. They paid the people who did the paintings to paint over the machine guns
Oh, that's so
to make
lame.
it look more peaceful.
Oh.
But the thing is, like, me as a tourist, I'm there to see the machine guns.
Well, I tell you what, if there's one thing that you didn't think back in the day, is that the IRA were a bunch of absolute wimps.
Pussies.
Yeah, you didn't think that.
No.
You thought they were
Lunatics.
yeah, but also scary and dangerous. Now I think that they might be taking it up the rear.
The write in to confirm, Mr. IRA. I don't know. just a letter, a postcard, nothing more. Anyway, but also the thing I'm looking at this. You think of Irish history and the narrative of like, oh, we were being turned into a plantation by the English, and they were importing loads of English to demographically replace us over time. Now. No. Instead, it is a glorious thing, and we are wonderful to be living...
Diversity is island strength.
Yeah, the term replantation has been used quite a lot, I've seen.
Really?
Which, yeah, replantation, because they see themselves as a plantation.
It's because of the essentially the Norman and then English and British plantation of Ireland.
Getting rid of the Irish. Well, now your new government, who are the Irish nationalists, are also getting rid of the Irish, which... Oh, God. And that's a good thing. That's great. I'm glad that we can live in a no longer orange and green world instead of rainbow world.
I didn't realise that 2023 would be the year I'd become an Irish nationalist.
Me neither.
Just to be clear, jokes aside, I'm totally in favour of Ireland being for the Irish.
Yeah, I mean, we love bands, and I'm sure people who are Irish have known that we love the bands, but good God. And the thing is, they're not doing well either. Like, the typical problems have started appearing.
Of course they are.
Such as hotel stabbings.
Yeah.
I don't think they ever had those. If you go forward, we can see that. And there you are, 4 men injured in a suspected stabbing in a hotel used for migrants. Strange that. If we go to the article that details the notes, it was an Algerian man, if you go to the next one, who was charged over violent disorder in the hotel.
Much like my feelings on Palestine, I'm not even joking, I do think that Ireland deserves to have its own country. I think the Palestinians deserve their own country too.
But if you're
I
Irish...
think Israel should exist.
And you're pro-Palestine, like, how are you not pro-Ireland? That's what really confuses me.
Ireland's a country of white supremacy?
Not even white. So, Faoud Meknazi, age 27,
Oh, yeah.
room
Typical
number
Irishman.
1094. Mm-hmm. I've never seen that before in an article. They give it the hotel room
Oddly
number.
specific, but go on.
But no, it's almost like, it's someone might say, from Crescent Drive or something on the road. Like, for the migrants, we just give hotel room numbers now.
Well, what other address do you have?
Yeah. His solicitor, Faoud over here, said that his client denied using the knife and claimed he was acting in self-defense during an incident in which a small group of Algerian men was set upon by a much larger group of Georgian men. Because Georgia and Algeria both border Ireland.
And they don't even border each other.
On the opposite sides of the continents.
Yeah, they're miles away from each other.
It doesn't make any sense.
It does make sense, though, because Georgia is Christian.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot more sense. But why they're not... there's no Irish people. What am I talking about? Why are they not killing the Irish? Anyway.
Why are the Georgians here? What are you talking about?
There's no war in Georgia.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Russians fleeing, but that's about it. In which case... That's not war, again. But if you go to the next one here, we have North Belfast. They also have the typical problem of paedophile hunters finding a lot more work.
Yep.
This case, it was an immigrant caught grooming a 14-year-old child for sex and was taken into police custody after that one.
Mm-hmm.
Not the only incident, obviously. There's a lot more of them, but we'll go to the most shocking new one, which is, again, rumoured, but we have a BBC report. Man in 40s seriously sexually assaulted in Belfast whilst walking his dogs. All three of the men who abused him were in their 40s and were about 5 foot 8 inches tall, detectives said. The first suspect, was stocky, bald, and wearing a multicoloured top. The second man was slim, had stubble, and was wearing a black top. Third man was also stocky. He was believed to be wearing a grey tracksuit top, grey tracksuit bottoms, and white trainers.
Sorry, so 3 Muslim immigrant men.
I never said Muslim.
Good point. Okay.
I never said immigrant.
But, I mean, the BBC certainly didn't, but let's be fair, they probably were, right?
I think we can't make such judgments.
I retract my inference. So 3 men of very...
descriptions.
Yeah.
With no other classifications except from what they were wearing, their height, and their age.
Decide to rape a man in the middle of a park.
The man was also believed, the third one, to have a spiral design tattoo on his inner forearm. We got that detail.
But we don't know...
No, don't know his race. Don't know.
Or where they came from.
We know where his tattoos are, every piece of clothing he was wearing, exactly how tall he was.
We don't know what colour he was.
No idea. His accent. Do we know his accent? No, we don't know that. ITV have more details, though. They tell us that the incident happened around Woodvale Avenue.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
I might be going
That's
there.
all the details. We haven't got any more.
This is like Swedish levels of reporting.
I know. It's
A human did something to another human. More details at 11.
Yeah, we go forward. People started noticing this on Twitter.
You're right. I completely filled in they're Muslim immigrants in my own head.
And you see this person, there's a bunch of other links where a crime has been committed, and they mentioned that there was a white man who was the suspect. In this one, no mention. And then if we go to the Police Service Northern Ireland, they put out a post asking for news, and if you scroll down, the comments are all just unusually vague descriptions for the suspects. Usually, don't you mention a local accent?
Or anything? I mean, the clothes they were wearing is not terribly useful, because tomorrow they'll be wearing different clothes.
Yeah, rumour is they might not have been Irish. Yeah, if we go forward, some other one. They're spreading dangerous misinformation, I'm sure, about what's happening. And to be fair, if you go to the next one, please, it could all be BS, potentially.
Sure.
The whole story could be him covering up for cheating on his wife with a homosexual
Yeah, that's
man
entirely possible.
something, who knows.
Yeah.
However, usually what happens when you see the media just not mentioning anything about the local accents of the chaps, I get a bit suspective of what's being reported.
Sorry, can we... raped by 3 illegal immigrants, according to this one chap. And the family's been asked by police not to disclose this information for fear of raising community tensions. The community of illegal immigrants. We don't want to upset the illegal immigrant community.
Yes. And the thing is, I can completely believe this might be the case.
Yeah, me too.
If you go to Police Service Northern Ireland, they've also been effective with woke ideology. Here, just detailing the amount of money they're spending on LGBTQIA+ vehicles. They're redoing their cars so they can pledge allegiance.
Yeah.
Scroll down on that one, just sit. And then if you go to UK universities, I mean, half of them are now been found to have been poisoning society itself with woke courses.
Sure.
So, there you are. They've got the same disease that we do.
Oh, yeah,
It's not new.
Yeah.
And
but they don't have like an ancient tradition to fall back on.
no, not that we really have much success in that regard either.
They would need us to come back over there, start oppressing them, and then they can have their ancient tradition back.
But it's just progressivism never ends, apparently, and the Irish are going to die by it, at least faster than us, so we'll at least have something to point to and say, not that.
Sorry, Ireland, honestly.
Yeah, I feel bad. But we're going to end this off just with a clip. I saw the Oxford Union, this is where it comes back to the debating, had a debate recently, whether the woke culture can go too far. Chap opposite.
Can they? Okay, yeah, I've got nothing to say.
This chap says it doesn't, and the examples he gives are ridiculous. And the interaction is the most revealing thing I've probably seen about progressivism in my entire life, covering this stuff and watching it. And I think we have to enjoy it. And I suppose let's just play and hear his argument.
But you know what? You get people that would say, J.K. Rowling has been cancelled just because she doesn't satisfy the arguments of the transgender lobby, and that it's the reason the West is coming down. Sorry, that sounds a lot like what Konstantin said, but actually that was Vladimir Putin who made that argument. So at least you have strong supporters on the side of your argument, people that made basically exactly the point that you did tonight. I know I would never want to be on the side of Vladimir Putin in a debate.
I think you're slightly mischaracterising what's happening with J.K. Rowling. So the Free Speech Union is currently representing someone called Gillian Phillips, and she lost her job at HarperCollins. She was an adult young fiction writer. She was fired after a revolt by the staff at HarperCollins when she tweeted #I stand with J.K. Rowling. It's not J.K. Rowling to this world that cancelled, it's the people who express any support for them who don't have her power and her money. She had to retrain as a heavy goods buyer. And in the week after she lost her job at HarperCollins, her husband died of cancer. Are you saying is that what you mean by holding people to account?
Well, there's a tragedy in that person's experience. But I'm afraid that, on other points you made in your speech earlier, where you talked about conservatives fearing losing their job, well, if they happen to be people that have racist or bigoted views, then I'm afraid that's not the same as people who don't have those views, because we're better than that as a society. So to accept the premise of the motion that woke culture has gone too far is to determine that the clock of progress should stop ticking. I think that would be ridiculous. Maybe it should tick off Toby Young, but I don't think that's any problem. And so there is no finish line to the pursuit of progress.
Well, that's a terrifying statement, isn't it?
The reason I've included that clip in this segment.
there's no end to progress, and one day, Toby, you're going to be under its.
Yeah, it's just to show you there is basically no point in even trying to reason with these people, it seems, because you cannot be that inhumane. I mean, that's a very personal thing, where it's like, this lady lost her job, husband died of cancer a week after it happened, she's had to retrain and leave. Do you not have any sympathy for her, essentially?
The person raising this to me, maybe he'll be ticked off by the clock of progress.
Yeah, there is no finish line to progress. And it's the same thing with the Irish. There is no finish line to when you will stop being, dutiful to the world in destroying yourselves and no longer existing. And that's a good thing, apparently. I also love how he says a tragedy she experienced, like it was an act of God that she got fired.
It's just progress, Callum.
Yeah, just pure progress. And I guess the Irish can suffer it first. And
well, they're not even suffering at first. It's just they're catching up really quickly.
Yeah, feel bad for them. If you appreciated that segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content we have on the site, such as the book clubs we do, this one on Gad Saad's The Parasitic Mind. If you'd like to find out what else we're putting out, you can follow us on Getter at lotuseaters_com on Getter. Thank you and goodbye.